Welcome to episode 6 of Offensive Driving. I'm going to be doing a voiceover today instead of leaving breakdowns in the descriptions because there's a lot going on in this race. So, we're going to be running around in San Francisco on the last race of the American GT Championship. We're going to be showcasing a masterclass in being a wingman, helping your teammate take first place. And we're going to utilize both offensive driving and defensive techniques to achieve this goal. So in the first lap, we're going to be aggressive and try to take the lead. And then going into lap 2, we're going to try to give up that lead in order to go heavily on the offensive against the cars ahead of our teammate in order to hopefully disable them or slow them down enough that our teammate is able to take over. And then in lap 3, we're going to end up driving more defensively to help our teammate maintain that lead, and it will be apparent why being offensive stops being a viable option. Alright, let's get into it. I'm also uploading the full race in both first-person and third-person perspectives simultaneously with this video, so if you just want to watch the race unedited, you can click over to that in the description. So here I'm just driving aggressively and trying to take positions. I didn't really mean to spin this guy out, but let's see what happens to him. Dropped him down to 15, okay. So something I probably should have noted since episode 1, when expecting to drive offensively, always tune the car for shorter gear shifts, which allows huge advantage to be gained after turns, and especially after making plays. Coming up on the hill here, we're going to see 2 sharp turns back to back, which means this is where I can start being disruptive and picking some guys off. I've barely taken any damage yet, so I know that I don't have to be conservative about my aggression. I'm gonna go in for a nice chunky hit here. Knowing that I'm going to slow down enough to not spin out. Pretty simple and generic play that gets me from 11th to 6th pretty easily. Coming up on the second sharp turn now, I'm going to decide to target and snipe off the white Aston Martin because I don't think I'm fast enough to hit the Corvette. I make sure to slide into him, hitting him with the side of my car and not the front so that I don't spin out and that I maintain speed going down the track. Let's go ahead and take a look at that hit from his perspective. Yep, so just a nice beefy hit that sets me up to get back into the race without losing position. Coming down this ramp, I see an opportunity to snipe off the Corvette, and I decide to take it. Recognizing the gap between me and the target vehicle, I knew that sliding into it wasn't an option, as I would end up missing my window. So instead I aim for the right corner of the vehicle to start it spinning sideways, which allows me to quickly disable it, while also giving me the time to transition into a slide at the end of the play, which sets me up to get back into the race. And again, let's look at the hit from his perspective. Now in real life, this hit would probably have disabled both of us, but this game is generous with damage, and we take those. So it's about this time, near the end of lap 1, that I notice my teammate is leading mid-pack, sitting at about 5th or 6th place, and this is when I decide my teammate is winning this race. So at this time you'll start seeing that I'm not actively trying to take first. A lot of times I'm just going to slow down, try to let the AI catch up, because I'm just trying to find a way to take him out. Oops, I don't know why I paused there. Alright, just a few meters away from the end of the first lap. Let's take a look at the standings. My teammate is Akito Matsuoka, who is in position 5 right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at where he is exactly. There he is. Here I'm going to let two of them pass me so that I can take them down, and hopefully my teammate catches up. Okay, coming into this sharp turn, I know the target ahead of me is going to lose a lot of forward momentum while executing the turn, and I decide to use the tail end of my vehicle to hit his front wheel, whipping his car into the wall. As you might be able to tell, this was not executed perfectly as I end up sliding a little too far into the wall, but it's not a big issue since I'm not focused on maintaining speed anyway. If executed perfectly, this offensive maneuver would have left my vehicle with very little damage, if any at all, while disabling the target vehicle. Now let's take a look at his perspective and see how disabled we leave him. Yup. Alright, now switching back to my perspective, we can see that my teammate has actually managed to catch up and has taken first place. There he goes right there, speeding into the lead. And as of right now, we have 3 targets, Raphael, Sigrid, and Emiliano. Coming back to the sharp turns past this uphill climb, I wasn't necessarily expecting to make a play here, but this guy tries to cut in on the inside of the turn, so I capitalize on it, taking him out completely. You'll see that I aim for the rear corner of the vehicle to spin him out. Two, maybe 3 targets remain. Coming into the second turn, I aim to snipe off the other Aston Martin. You'll recall we sniped off his teammate in this exact spot. Kind of poetic, no? It's not a perfect hit, but we do manage to hit that corner and maintain a good enough angle to get out of there, despite what was nearly a head-on collision. Let's take a look from his end. Yeah, he's out of this. Alright, now back to me. Now you may be noticing all this smoke coming out of my vehicle. That's due to the heavy damage I've taken executing my plays to take down the competitors to my teammate's throne. I realize I probably only have maybe one more offensive maneuver in me before I'm the one who ends up in 16th place. Coming down this ramp, I recognize that the gap between me and the next target vehicle is way too large, so I won't be able to execute a play here. Instead I just slide in through the turn. Now let's take a look at the vehicles behind me and in front of me, just to get a general idea of where everyone is. Coming into these turns, I noticed that the Corvette might be making a play to overtake my teammate, and in a defensive maneuver, I put myself between it and my teammate, nudging my teammate out of the way and preventing the Corvette from overtaking him. However, this allows the other Corvette to take the lead, and now I have a new target. I see that they're going out wide for this turn, and I decide to perform a pretty standard barricade breaking maneuver, hitting the tail end of the target vehicle almost perpendicular, spinning it out of the way, and in our case, knocking it out of the race. Alright, now let's rewind and take a look at the damage done from his perspective. Let's go a bit further back and take a look at when he breaks into second place. Oh yeah, you're done, son. Now at this point I'm smoking like crazy, with heavy damage to all parts of my vehicle, and my top speed barely breaks 110 miles per hour. I know that I can't go on the offensive anymore, but luckily, I also no longer need to. From now till the end of the final lap, you'll see me driving defensively as I try to be the floodgate that holds everyone else back from pushing into second, or in the worst case, pushing through to first, which is a very real possibility seeing how slow my teammate is. Let's just take a look at the positions as of right now. I'm also going to be showing the final lap, mostly from the perspective of the third place vehicle, since it'll be easier to see the effects of what I'm doing. There are two main points to make about defending the position, and the first is not allowing my vehicle to be spun out and disabled. Recall how we were able to knock out multiple vehicles targeting the corners of their vehicles. We want to avoid that. How do we do that? We make sure to keep an eye out behind us and keep our bumper centered with the center of the chase vehicles. If they bump us, they're just nudging us forward and reducing our handling ability, but they won't spin us out and won't disable us. I like to play with minimal HUD on, so usually I end up assuming vehicles behind me are nemesis and will spin me out if given the chance. You'll notice when they get close enough to touch me, I square up, preventing them from executing anything overly offensive. Again, I'm smoking heavily right now, and this ramp down is very difficult for me since my top speed is dramatically less than every one of their vehicles. Let's go ahead and take a look at the positions of where everyone is. This guy almost overtakes me, but they're not quite aggressive enough. The second thing to note is how we deal with multiple chase vehicles looking to overtake from multiple directions. How we do this is by picking a side, any side, and forcing that side to move over. We narrow our attack vectors down from 2 to 1, and can then focus on maintaining a position where we won't get spun out. It's still a race, and an enemy vehicle isn't going to allow someone else to overtake instead of them. You'll notice that third and fourth end up fighting basically themselves at this point. Now I'm going to swap perspectives to position 4's vehicle, as we note how they're both in a position to overtake me on this straight stretch of road. But neither of them end up being able to, because I pick a side, herd them over, and prevent both of them from overtaking. And now we're going to note how Kiara is clearly in third place all the way through to the finish line as we head into the results screen. And what the... Are you kidding me? What? Excuse me? This is madness.